Hey everybody, Chuck Barone here. Monday, February the 13th, 2023. Another week is going to be a very big week for the markets, guys. We got a lot to talk about today, a very big week coming up, a lot of very important data that'll give us a very good idea of what's coming up next as far as the Federal Reserve goes, as far as interest rates go, as far as your paychecks and your savings and your investments. Before we start the show, as always, I just want to welcome everybody. Thank you guys for your support. You guys watching these videos every day and supporting the channel. It means the world to us, guys. Markets today. Well, a very weird day in the markets today. Stock market rallying nicely on really no very much news. I guess it's, this feeling that we're coming to the end of this rate hike cycle. Inflation numbers coming down. There hasn't been any shocks to the upside. The Fed's been getting it their own way. We'll see if that can continue or not. I just don't know about anything that going straight up or straight down. So I got a feeling there's going to be a bump in the road. And when that bump comes, markets are going to react pretty violently, I think. But as it stands right now, optimism on the street. The Dow up 376 today. Stocks up across the board nicely. So a great day for everybody's 401ks. Go stock market. Bond markets today. Well, mixed day in the markets. Not much really happening. You got the 10-year dropping just 2 basis points today. A little bit of a rally. 3.72% on the 10-year. The 2-year basically flat today. No change. 4.52 on the 2-year. So that's an 80 basis point inversion. It's still pretty dramatic, guys. That's a big number. And you know what I've been telling you guys, the bigger the inversion, typically the bigger the recession, it's forewarning. We'll see if that's myth or if that's for real. We saw last year, we had 2 negative quarters, the classic definition of a recession. But then it just didn't kind of work out that way. So we'll see now if this inversion really means deep recession or maybe not this time. We'll see. The dollar today, down very small in the index, 103.29. Not a lot happening with the dollar. It's just basically flat there. Not much news as far as the dollar goes. The dollar waiting to see what the real story with the Fed is. I think obviously more Fed rate hikes, keeping rates higher for longer, strengthens the dollar. Of course, the Fed goes the other way, weakens the dollar. Metals today down small. Gold down $12.50, $1,854 an ounce. Silver down just 1 cent, 1 penny, $22.08 per ounce. I think that there's a little bit of profit taking in metals, a little bit of fear, a little bit of repositioning of money with the optimism that there won't be a very significant recession, with the idea that the Fed's ready to, commence pausing on raising rates, and typically will not get rates much higher before they pivot. I don't know. That might be the Goldilocks scenario everybody else looks for. I just doubt it because it just never seems to happen that way. So anyway, metals down, but I wouldn't despair if I was a holder of gold and silver, which I am. I think that I've been predicting, and I'll still say it, you're going to see $2,000 an ounce gold. You're going to see $25 an ounce silver very soon. This dollar cannot stay elevated forever. The European Bank talking pretty tough on rates. The Central Bank of England talking pretty tough on rates. We'll see if they can drive some of their currencies to compete with this dollar. When they do, and they will, big metal rally coming up. Oil today down small. West Texas Intermediate, $79.16, down 57 cents today. Oil just in that trough, just hanging around. Not a lot of news with oil. The speculation all on China. What will their demand be? I don't think it's going to be a big factor on the overall world oil market. I think China's obviously buying as much oil as they can at discounted prices from their friends in Russia. If I was China, I'd be doing the same thing. Bitcoin today down small as well. Not a great day for overall investors today. Bitcoin down $116, 21,628. Still a pretty nice bump from the low, but it seems to have lost the momentum. So we'll see kind of now where Bitcoin's going to go. I need to get into the chart, see where their support is, give you guys a little bit better update. Now this week's data stuff, I do this every Monday. Tell you guys what's going to be coming, what's the news that's going to drive these markets. And tomorrow's the big day, guys. Tomorrow, we're going to get the January CPI numbers. This is what the market's holding its breath waiting on. They're expecting, here's what they're expecting. In overall top-line inflation, 6.2%. Core inflation. Core inflation 5.2%, or 5.4%, forgive me. Now those numbers are from, in the previous month we had 6.5% on top line, so they're expecting the top line to come down to 6.2 from that 6.5. We had 5.7 on the core inflation number. They're expecting 5.4%, so they're expecting more moderate falling down of inflation rates. I mean, I don't think that, 6.2%, 5.4% core is anything to celebrate. It's only when you compare it to what the numbers have been, and this continues this basic straight down pattern we're seeing of inflation rates. Still too high for sure, but telling us the Fed's on the right path. We'll see when these interest rates the Fed implemented last year really start to bite. We'll see if these numbers continue their way down and if they even accelerate their way down a little bit. So that's the big one for Tuesday. That's tomorrow. On Wednesday, we're going to get a lot of data on Wednesday. Not as important, though. We'll get business inventories, which are important because this will give us an idea of if businesses are building up inventories. Typically that's not good for them. The cost to hold those inventories gets passed along or gets eaten as a loss. So not good. If business inventories are climbing, not a good sign for the economy. We'll get capacity utilization, some industrial production numbers, so we'll get an idea of where manufacturing's at. We'll get the mortgage brokers index, real estate there. We'll also get retail sales numbers, and that'll be important too because last month we had the surprising decline of 1.1%. That was a big shocker for the market. You guys remember that. This month, they're expecting the number to be up 1.7%. That's kind of what they were expecting last month, and they got their shocker. We'll see where those numbers go on Wednesday. Thursday, another important day. We'll get building permits. We'll get the housing starts. So that'll give us an idea on real estate and construction. We'll also get jobless claims. That's been a market that's been sizzling hot, spooking Fed. We'll also get the January PPI numbers, which usually they wait a week. I'm surprised they're coming out so quickly. They're expecting, now these numbers are not as good as the CPI numbers, I don't think. They're expecting the top line to be up 0.4% month over month from down 0.5 last month. Core expected to be up 0.3 from up 0.1 last month. So it looks like the producer inflation rising with consumer inflation falling, but the PPI is the foreshadowing of where CPI is going. So if you see these PPI numbers going up, we're probably going to get a bump down the road in the CPI as businesses pass these costs along to everybody. On Friday, to wrap up the week, we'll get import price index. We'll get an idea of how the dollar's holding up, how import prices are looking, and we'll get the leading indicator index. Give us an idea of what people are thinking about the economy and what the leading indicators are saying about where the economy is going moving forward. Just interesting stuff today. Real quick stuff, guys. We got the Fed yo-yo, the parade of Fed yo-yos out again. Now these guys, I tell you, listen to them not. Because they're all saying the same thing anyway. We need rates higher. We need to keep them higher for longer. And this is good. as long as they all are telling the same story, it's very good. We know that, at least so far, the Federal Reserve has been sticking to their guns. They've been telegraphing exactly what they're going to do. They've been telling us what they're going to do, and then they've actually been doing it. So I have no reason to believe they're going to stop doing that now. Okay, so these Fed people coming out talking, when you hear soft landing and you hear all this blah, 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 we need to keep raising rates, we need to, balance supply and demand, they have all this bullshit. They just need, what they're saying to you is, we screwed up and we're correcting our screw up as quickly as we can. Big concerns moving forward. This was interesting. Big concerns on corporate debt. We had this big glut, everybody borrowing money like they never had to repay it. Well, now they're afraid of massive defaults, especially for some of these weaker companies, especially, again, if this recession deepens and really gets deep and lasts for any length of time. Big pressure on these corporations because costs for everything are rising, right? Interest rates on the existing debt they're carrying rising pretty significantly. Well, if their revenue streams and their profits go down to service that debt, they're just going to make, there's your reason for default. And that's the big fear moving forward, is the corporate debt market might be in worse shape than the consumer debt market is, which is a pretty frightening friggin' prospect. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. We know we got a huge week coming tomorrow. We're going to have a big talk about CPI. Now here's the thing to look out for tomorrow. CPI coming in good or bad over the past, I'd say 8 months or so, has been a huge driver of the market for that day. So if we get a good CPI number tomorrow, I'm guessing the stock market's going to blast off like crazy like it has. And if we get a not so good CPI number tomorrow, well, the market's going to tank like it has when the markets have, the numbers have come in a little negative. So know that it's going to be a big day either way. We'll get a good idea tomorrow morning. I think around 5:30 Pacific time is when we'll get that number. So we'll know beforehand what's going to happen. We can expect a big day. We'll be here to give you guys all the details. Until then, guys, take care. Thanks.